Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Scorpio is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider hitting the subscribe button, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Scorpio, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And you're following your star. You're someone who is on the path of becoming a magician, okay? The star card does a couple of things. The first phase of the star energy is when we open up and we make the decision to allow the divine light in, to allow the spiritual transformation to take place, and to align ourselves with that divine energy, cosmic energy, universal mind, God, goddess, deity, whatever you want to call it. When we open ourselves up, that light will come in. And what does that light do but show us where our knots of karma are, shows us where our blockages are, shows us where our sore spots, our weaknesses are, so that we can start to pay attention to those things. And as we do that, that light begins to spill out from us, radiating out into the world, but also the light begins to show us our yellow brick road, shows us the path that we are being urged to take. Okay? And now phase 1 and phase 2 of the star card, they don't happen exclusively, chronologically, linearly. They sort of happen at the same time. The more we pay attention to what's going on inside and we work on those things, the more the light will shine out from us and show us our path. It illuminates our path like the sidewalk is being lit up. And those two phases happen simultaneously. It's an ongoing process. And that process, kind of the coming in and then flowing out, is what the magician can do. The magician is someone who is allowing the light to come in and flow out, right? And we can become better and better magicians, greater and greater at the skill, right, of magic. The process is never over. It's never completed. We could always continue on that path, right? So let's see what your path is guiding you toward. Let's see what the work is that you're doing and the effects of that. Let's see your path to becoming the magician. Yeah. Let's put this card into a little context. Context is everything. We have a 4 of swords. And 4, yeah, 3, okay. 3 of cups underneath. A princess of swords back there. We have a prince of pentacles, and we have an 8 of cups. Okay. There is, to me, it feels like there's an emotional kind of blockage going on. The 4 of swords is sometimes kind of an intellectual barrier, an intellectual force field that we might put around ourselves in order to keep kind of negative energy out. We've got the hierophant, the hanged man, the wheel of fortune. Are we going to go 4 for 4 with the major arcana? No, we've got another swords card. Interesting. Interesting. We have the choice at the end here. All of this culminates in a choice for you to follow your star, to continue doing the work of the star. And I think the star is trying to show you where we have a bit of a blockage here. And I think it is an intellectual blockage to an emotional energy, you see. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown, and we're going to set it down right here with big red ant right on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. But it will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card is, put your prediction in the comments down below. Okay. Now, let's take a look around the room. Obviously, we have major arcana. 1, 2, 3, 4 majors. We don't have any fire. We don't really even have a suggestion of fire. We could maybe say that the star card is a little bit of that star fire, but it's not really. So no fire really at all. We've got water and water. The Hanged Man is a suggestion of water, of diving in, right? We've got obviously air, air, and air. We have 2 references to Taurus, which is interesting. This is Taurus energy in the Hierophant and Taurus energy in the Prince of Pentacles. So you might want to check out the Taurus readings. We've got obviously that as our earth energy. We are, I think, trying to focus ourselves on very practical living. We're trying to focus ourselves on what we're building. Just trying to do my job here, right? I'm trying to be the builder. I think you're someone that shows up every day. You're someone that has sort of put yourself into a very steady flow, steady routine, do the same things. I'm focused. I'm showing up on time. I'm ready to work. We're suiting up and showing up to life, okay? But there is something that is emotionally blocked here. This is someone that is maybe in a attempt to not explore these deeper emotions. We're just setting up a routine for our life that keeps us busy and is very productive. I think that you're probably someone who works a lot of hours. You probably keep your life fairly structured and organized, fairly routine. And I think that you're a hard worker. I think you show up every day. You've always got something to do. I think you're checking a lot of things off your checklist, And in that way, you are really building a good life. You're building up what is the Prince of Pentacles building? Well, the 10 of Pentacles, obviously. So you're building up this 10 of Pentacles life, but are you going to have a 10 of Cups too with it? The life that we're building, are we going to enjoy it? Are we satisfied by it? Do we love it? Are we open to joy and creativity? Are we, do we have healthy relationships? Okay, because the work of the star right now, what's coming down from the divine energy in you, that light that's coming in is showing you where there are some blockages, where we might be a little bit resistant, a little bit closed off. The Four of Swords is sometimes a magical circle of protection that we have around us, almost as if we've banished some of the water energy, and we're not invoking any new water energy. We may have banished the water energy and invoked the earth energy, or invoked the earth and the air energy, but we've banished the fire and the water. I don't want turbulent emotions and conflict and things. I just want to do my work and steadily go forward, and that's enough, So I feel that the Four of Swords is a little bit of emotional detachment. That we're not quite feeling how we're feeling, And I think the Four of Swords is maybe how we keep people at a distance. This is, we let people it's boundaries. Boundaries are good. We need boundaries, right? But sometimes our boundaries can be so severe, so strict, that we're keeping out all the bad energy, keeping out all the hurts, all the pains, all the bad, and all the low vibration, negative energy, negative forces. Keeping all the bad people out, but we're keeping all the good people out too. You see. And so this, I think, is something that Spirit is wanting you to look at right now. How are we limiting our own joy, creativity, love, abundance, the feeling of interconnectedness? How are we keeping out healthy relationships because we don't want to attract any unhealthy relationships? This is a force field that is not allowing anything in, good or bad. What we need this to be in our lives, I think, literally in our aura, but also we need to look at it intellectually. This is obviously swords cards, right? We need to think about it in terms of a semi-permeable membrane. You know, it can allow healthy relationships in, but yeah, it's going to keep some of the bad energies, the unhealthy relationships out. Sometimes we've got to let people get close. We've got to be open. We got to take a chance. Then we've got to, you know, kind of 86 people, give them the boot if they're not part of a healthy relationship for us. You know, we have to be willing to do that, because if we just lock the doors, no one's going to get in. And so this is, even in the intellectual framework, maybe the idea that I don't want relationships, I don't need people, I don't want friends, I don't want family, I don't want intimate relationships, I don't need romance. I got me, I got my work, and we're good to go. Okay. So I think that there is that sort of a blockage right now, and it's a detachment that has been implemented for self-protection. I think that's part of what our Princess of Swords is doing in the background here. Princess of Swords, very often the princesses are these complexes that we all have. These maybe shadow aspects. I think they're shadowy aspects, but they feel like they're complexes because they are structures of energy. It is an intelligence in us, you know, that is operating for a reason. And I think that this is the unconscious way, or the shadow side way, however you want to look at it. That part of us that does keep people away. It's that part of us that is still, and we all have this, right? It's like our insecure child self. You know, the inner child, if you will. That's probably a pretty outdated term, but I feel like that's the part of us that doesn't want to get embarrassed again, doesn't want to fail again, doesn't want to be laughed at again by friends, doesn't want to be hurt by a romantic partner, or be betrayed by a friend or something along those lines, and so is keeping everybody out. Right? It's something is activated in us that is from the past, but yet still influencing the present. Okay? And that's the princesses are usually that sort of thing. So this feels like it's a mental program that's kind of running, that in a way is sabotaging our joy. Okay? It's sort of like we're blocking out the Eight of Cups here, but we're also blocking out that Three of Cups. And I think in some ways we're hindering our Prince of Pentacles as well. Because we're building our best life, we're building our Ten of Pentacles, but are we building the Ten of Cups alongside of it? You know, are we building that? Because we can't have the Ten of Pentacles, we can't have the truly best life without the Ten of Cups as well, you know. We're building both. We're building the structure that's going to contain all the water, but we're just building the structure. It's just going to be empty shells. It's going to be an empty vessel. It's going to be a framework. It's going to be a building. It's going to be a church. It's going to be a big dining hall with no people, no food in it. You see what I mean? So the princesses are the complexes that we may be that may be running in the background, that are trying to prevent us from feeling any kind of pain or loss or embarrassment or shame or any of these kind of so-called negative, low vibrational energies, feelings, right? And so I think that's where we've built up these walls against, I don't know, intimacy, walls against really getting close to friends, the walls against even saying to ourselves, I want to have a couple friends, or like I want to get closer to my family, or I want to have a better, more abundant and joyful relationship with people. I want to find love. I want to find friendship and union and togetherness, you know. And so this, I feel like the Princess of Swords is dealing with a past wound of some kind, right? And well, dealing with it in its own way. Dealing it in the way our child self might. Okay? Child has their feelings hurt by a friend and says, so I'm not friends with you anymore. I don't need any friends at all. It's kind of, it's Steve Martin in The Jerk. I don't need anybody. I don't need anything. Because he got his feelings hurt. And that is kind of how we see kids operate, and that's something that is, that's formulated in us in childhood, in my opinion, and in my experience. And I think that it's often that you'll see a kid, anybody, any child, right? I've got an almost 5-year-old daughter, and if she gets her feelings hurt by a friend at school, then for the next week she'll say, I'm not friends with that person anymore. I don't like them. We're not friends. And anytime you talk about it, it's kind of like, no, I'm not being friends with them. And then she doesn't want any friends at all at that point, And it's something that, becomes formed in all of us when we're kids. And sometimes it does still play a role in our adult life, so-called. Most of us are adults here, I think. Even when we're not really expecting it. We don't really realize that it's happening. It's happening to all of us. We all have complexes. Some complexes are very healthy. Others are maybe limiting, right? And they just function on their own. They're just autonomous programs that run in our system. If we can look at them, if we can go deeper and we can understand that, we can see it happening, then we can choose, Two of Swords, we can choose, right, to do something different. We can choose to say, no, you know what, it's okay. It's okay, inner child. I'll handle this. Okay, and there's our hierophant. So I feel like once we look at it, pay attention to it, once we're aware that it's there operating, we can say, no, we don't have to do things that way. I can choose to do something else. Yeah. I can choose to open myself up, 3 of Cups. I can choose to attract healthy relationships. I can choose to embrace joy and creativity. I can choose to look at, the way forward, I think, is looking at whatever it was that's been sort of, to look at the maybe unpleasant emotions of our lives, of our history, of our present life, and of what we're worried about for the future, like really to kind of embrace the negative emotions too. But the 3 of Cups is friendship, creativity, intimacy, is love for self, divine love, platonic love, romantic love. It's us being open to embracing joy and creativity and abundance and all of those really wonderful, this is down underneath the surface in you. This is something that you have in you. And what we want to do is we want to send that out to the world. You want to act as a beacon. You're sending out love and joy and creativity and gratitude. Gratitude's another thing here. And openness and even a little bit of vulnerability, authenticity. We're radiating this. And then we're like that beacon. We're like that lighthouse. And we can attract more of that. And of course, you still are going to have this very vigilant energy with the 4 of Swords that is going to try to identify the bad energy, the negative energy coming in, so you can send them away, block it. But I think it's a different approach. It's kind of an approach that is blending together kind of what we truly, really do want in life, right? What's under the surface that's trying to get out from you. But then also the protective complexes that have been created long ago, however you want to look at that. So it's kind of we're blending the two together, and I feel like that's kind of what we're doing with the 8 of Cups. Because the 8 of Cups is, well, it might be a glass half full or half empty. What's in the other half? Air. All right, so it's a balance of air and water. It's kind of like, how are we doing more air, less water? Are we doing more water and just a little bit of air? Or are we trying to balance the two together? I'm trying to be open and vulnerable and inviting people over and letting love radiate from me. But then balanced with that is my caution, my self-protection, my walls, my boundaries, and I think it has to be a balance, How we're balancing that, well, it's up to each of us to figure out, right? But I think the 8 of Cups is also how we're looking at life going forward. Because this is saying, well, if I open myself up to love and creativity and joy and emotional life, and I radiate that out, then in my future is going to be just bad storm, bad weather. It's obviously, we're looking at this card and we're thinking, there is obviously a storm coming. I mean, look at that. This is just, I mean, the skies are black. The ground is getting covered with this just, with a black slime, you know? So it's obvious, like in looking ahead, this isn't going to really be fun, you know? But I think it really depends on how we choose to look at this. Because going this way, right? Well, yeah, we see that if these blockages remain here, then we're going to experience a very, we're trying to avoid the negative emotions, right? We're kind of trying to block those out. But we're going to feel them anyway, because this could be the card then of missing out. The fear, not so much the fear, but just the experience, the feeling, the underlying feeling of kind of walking away from everything, walking away from our feelings, walking away from the potential for joy. But, you know, because we're walking away from the hurt feelings, the pain, the sadness, and sorrow, but we're walking away from life, you know. We're not willing to face the storm, even though the storm may pass and we may have sunny skies. So I feel like we're kind of headed in this direction anyway. We might as well do so consciously, intentionally, and say, I'm okay with going forward and living life with all of its joy and all of its sorrow. I can choose to look at life as being, okay, the glass is half full. And if I send out love and light and I radiate joy and abundance to the world, I'll attract that very same thing and we'll have a sunny day. If I look at it, my future, if I look at tomorrow, if I look at it as the glass is half empty, well then all I see is more opportunities for pain. And so it's kind of like we're radiating out that negative vibration, and yeah, we're going to get more of that, and the water's going to drain out of the cups, and it's going to be completely empty cups. Okay, so it really is the choice of how we're going to look at the future and with what sort of intention and what sort of courage we're moving forward. Okay, and moving forward, I think, is instead of walking away from the potential for negative emotions or walking away from the potential for a storm, you know, in life, I think we're walking toward our feelings. And maybe we're going to go deeper. Maybe we're going to find out, we're going to address, we're going to look at where this sort of complex originated and how it's been kind of repeating itself through our lives. We're going to maybe be able to sort of look back and see all the times that the Princess of Swords was activated and, thought that it was protecting us from some kind of emotional disturbance. Okay. But maybe we'll begin to see how it's been limiting us from situations that could have been really, really great as well. Okay? And we're not talking just romance either. That's part of it, maybe. Maybe this is friendship. Maybe this is the excitement of like going after a job, going after a promotion, starting a new project. But we feel, no, I got to protect myself from disappointment. I got to protect myself from pain. I'm not going to go take a chance on learning jujitsu. I'm not going to take a chance on, making friends or talking to those people or giving the presentation or writing the book or going on stage and singing the song or whatever it is. See, it doesn't have to be just about relationships, but it's just about our perception of life and our experience of our reality. Okay. And I think this is of kind of an intellectual nature. Right? Like I said, it's an intellectual blockage to an emotional energy. So the Princess of Swords might be, coming up with reasons why we should keep our doors shut and locked. Reasons why I can't go and do that thing. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, and this is going to be fine. I'm going to build a good life, and that's that. Denying ourselves our emotions and letting that energy flow is. We're missing out on a lot of opportunities. We're missing out on a whole large portion of life, right? Whether it's half or more, I don't know, but we're missing out on a huge section of the human experience, by just staying in that kind of intellectual, almost defensive kind of, point of view, right? Let's look at the path of the serpent. As we do this, obviously, I'd like you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, okay? These readings are totally free and don't cost you anything. The hierophant becomes your general energy. As we realize, as we activate the energy on the path of the dove, you become the hierophant. The hierophant is the one who knows. The hierophant is the one who knows how to interpret the sacred texts, right? So you are understanding how to interpret all of the energy on the path of the dove using that kind of higher perspective, your higher mind, the part of your mind that's connected with the divine, with your true self, right? And so to me, this is our ability to override both our builder and our defensive princess of swords, right? Our ability to, this is the one that's kind of, this is the, in a way, this is the architect, or this is, you know, I don't know what kind of top-level authority you want to talk about, that is able to make the big decisions. We don't have to let the Princess of Swords operate behind the scenes. Right now, since we're looking at it, we're aware of it, and we can sort of look, we can see it, and we can say, oh yeah, I can identify when it's been activated, you know? And even when I think that maybe the Prince of Pentacles can be a complex too. Especially if it's influenced by this, then this is becoming, well, I'm just immersing myself in my work as part of the effort, as part of the protection, the self-protection, to avoid the water. Okay? And so the hierophant becomes our, again, that sort of top-level authority that can make different decisions. That can say, okay, we don't have to do this anymore. We don't have to stay focused here. We can unlock some of the doors here. Yeah. And so I like this as your general energy. It shows a great wisdom. Okay, the wisdom of self-knowledge. This is gnosis. Know thyself, Scorpio. The hanged man in the environment is a couple of things. I think it's our willingness to dive deep, to go really deep into ourselves in order to achieve, to find that gnosis. This is someone who is diving down into the depths. It's a free diver, you know, diving for the pearls or whatever. Pearl dive. I always thought that song meant something else, but I don't know. This is the diver that goes down into the depths of the ocean and finds, finds the jewel, finds the truth, finds the holy grail, you know, finds that, that pearl of great price, okay? So I feel like this is you diving deeper into your own self, into your own emotions, into your soul, in order to find the wisdom there, okay, to know yourself. I feel like this is also part of what you're looking at that is giving you part of that wisdom, right, of kind of where these things originated, because the hanged man is in the position of your relationships. It's the position of your environment, right? And this is a card of suffering, sacrifice, surrender. This is a card of acquiescing. This is the card of sort of being at the mercy of other forces. This is the most passive card in the tarot. This is the card where life happens to me, and I'm powerless against it. So when we're talking about relationships, the reason why the Princess of Swords is so actively defending you is because the Princess of Swords doesn't want you to get into any other situations where you feel powerless, where you feel as if you are vulnerable and you are suffering at the mercy of some other force. Maybe there's some history there. Maybe other relationships in your life have been that way. This is someone who is kind of living their life in service to somebody else's whims and desires, okay? I don't want to go too deep myself into what these implications could be, but you know what they are for you. But this is talking about relationships where you felt you had no voice, you had no power, you had no autonomy. A manipulative situation or something, something deeper than that. And so this might be what we're not so keen on facing, But it feels like this might be the origin of this, or at least this is what the Princess of Swords feels as if they are defending you against. Okay? Whether this was really, like, this is our feeling in childhood, this was our early relationships, you know. Whether or not this actually happened doesn't seem to matter. What matters is the Princess of Swords is thinking, I'm not going to let this happen again. Now, maybe it never happened exactly in that fashion, or it wasn't that severe, but, well, she thinks it is. She thinks it was. Right? Now, it's not gender specific, it's a princess. But the princess will not allow this to happen again, and therefore has set up what they think is the right defenses, so that we will never be in this in this position. I mean, that's a pretty bad position, right? Okay. But what we're doing by going deeper, doing the work of the Hanged Man, looking at what we've been avoiding, what we can do is we can flip this card around. Now it becomes the Fire Dancer. Shout out to Dave Matthews Band. I kind of stole that idea from them. I think that's what they call it, right? It looks like the Dave Matthews symbol for their albums or whatever. It looks like that. Anyway, one of my favorite bands. This looks like a fire dancer. Now, this looks like the exact opposite of somebody who is passive, acquiescing, surrendering, meek and powerless and weak and just at the mercy of other forces. This is someone now who's dancing on fire, you know, as it intends. Shout out to the door. I feel like you're really into music, right? You feel like a musical person to me. A lot of kind of rhythm is coming through now. But this is someone now who is excited and active and joyous and confident and feels free to live their life and isn't worried and scared and feeling that I've got to always be on guard because I don't want to be in this position again. But we have to dive down into the depths to find this truth before we can emerge victorious, right? This is an attitude of victory. This is us emerging from the depths with someone that's just like jumping. It's like a commercial on TV. Someone's just emerging from the swimming pool, glistening with water and just smiling. And just in this triumph, you know, like someone that dives down and then they come up out of the water. You know, it's like a slow motion shot or something. I don't know if it's like a bubble gum commercial or something, or shampoo. I don't know. But this is that feeling, and this is the result, I think, of clearing the blockage, looking at what this is, acknowledging this, and then allowing this to emerge. This Three of Cups, that joy, creativity. Because we're healing past emotional wounds, we're letting the star show us where the blockage is. And now healing doesn't imply that you're damaged or broken. I'm kind of having an issue myself with this word healing or fixing something, right? Because it implies that we're sick or broken. And I don't believe that. Okay? I believe that everything, that we are whole, that we are perfect, and that we are luminous beings. And if there is this energy of healing kind of past emotional wounds, it really is a restoration. We're restoring something to its original state. It's still there. We're uncovering it. Just like we are already the magician. The star is just helping us to remember, to put the pieces back together and think, oh yeah, I'm the magician and I've always been the magician. Yeah. So anyway, the Wheel of Fortune as the energy that we really don't want. Well, who would not want the Wheel of Fortune, right? Well, someone who feels that destiny or fate is just something that happens to them. I don't want that. I got to keep myself protected against that. Because at any moment, there's going to be some bad stuff's going to happen. I've got to be on guard. And of course, that Princess of Swords, right? Look, always on guard, always in that defensive position. Always on the back heel, ready and waiting for somebody to come out. Yeah, I'm a southpaw. Waiting for something to sneak out. Very protective of us. And that's good. We need that. Complexes are very good things. They can be, right? Complexes have a negative connotation, but it's just a structure that has energy. and it's either helping us or it's not. It always believes it's helping us, but we have to be the higher decider and have that higher wisdom to say, okay, this complex means well. Thank you. I know you meant well, but please don't mess with my lights or cameras ever again. So, you know, that's sort of the problem with the Wheel of Fortune, is that we feel like it's just a spin of the wheel. And there, it seems like with the Wheel of Fortune, there's a lot more bankrupt spaces than there are, you know, $1 million spaces on this Wheel of Fortune. And so we want to stay away from it, right? That it seems random, it seems unfair, it seems like maybe you're somebody that feels like you've always been prone to bad luck. Anytime I try to do anything different or good or new, or anytime anything spontaneous, anytime I try to get happy, guess what? Get shot down. I used to feel that way too. Anytime I try to get a little bit happy, anytime a little smile starts to creep on my mug here, something bad would happen. It's almost like we're getting punished for smiling, you know. But that's not it. It's that unconscious complex that's being activated to protect us from something. Okay, in a way, it is an unconscious self-sabotage. And so we're going to make a different choice. I think this is the card of expansion, growth. I feel like the universe wants to get you to the top of the wheel. It wants you to feel like you're on top of the world. You know? We've got to make a choice here to not allow that Princess of Swords to continue putting us into this kind of, I don't want to say a victim space, but it sort of feels like that, where we're just a victim of circumstance. We're a victim of the arbitrary spinning. Whoever's spinning this Wheel of Fortune keeps landing on bankrupt for us. I think we can create our own luck. I think through attitude, through mindset, through an open heart, and an open engagement, I think by embracing joy, creativity, love, and abundance, I think that we create good luck. Because again, we're the beacon. We're attracting more of what we want, instead of unconsciously attracting more of what we don't want. And then, of course, we call it fate. We say, the fates are against me. Destiny is punishing me. You know? And the Two of Swords at the end. It all comes down to the choice. We can choose to be guided by that starlight, which is shown by the little crescent moon at the top of the card. I really need a third camera. I'm getting so tired of reaching. But the little crescent moon at the top of the card there is the star light, right? 'Cause the moon reflects the sunlight. Sun is the star, starlight, it works. And so to me, this is following our North Star, following our intuition, following our destiny, following the psychic wisdom and truth, you know, deep in our soul, following spirit, making choices, not with the air energy. This is a Two of Swords. Well, isn't that just the princess making choices? No, because of that crescent moon. That we are now deciding what to do from that place of higher wisdom, from that maybe hierophant energy, right? Choosing to follow our star here, choosing to override and say, thank you, Princess of Swords. I know you mean well. I love you. Thank you. We're embracing this. But we're saying your services aren't needed right now. We're going to do something different. I still love you. I still want you to be around to protect me. But this time we're doing something else. So we're not rejecting this. We're not rejecting. We're not angry at this. This feels like any complex, feels that it's doing something good to protect our organism. It wouldn't exist otherwise. Okay? It's protecting us, and we have to sometimes say, thank you. I know you're trying to protect me. I'm grateful. I love you, but right now, no. Right now, doing the other thing, right? Let's look at the mystery card. What? 10 of Cups, right? Maybe. Maybe some, I think water energy for sure. It's got to be. It's got to be. If you have a prediction, though, put it in the comments, please. Let's see what we have. Oh, yeah, look at that. Queen of Cups, yes. Very deep waters. Very, very deep waters. right? This is a really good card. Because the Queen, first of all, it's not a princess, it's not a prince, it's the Queen. Okay? So the Queen has a deeper understanding of things. And compassion and empathy and love, connection. I think that the Queen is realizing that we can't just live life emotionally at the surface of the water, right? The very top, reflective, the surface level. The surface of the water is reflective, just doing what everybody else does. How do I keep myself safe? Well, I just do what everybody else is doing. What everybody else says, I say. It's mirroring. It's personality mirroring. It's lifestyle mirroring. It's emotional mirroring, right? All these things. As a way to just protect what's deeper, what's down below, what's down low in our soul. We just live on the surface, and we just reflect what other people want, what other people do and say. That's just how I'm going to live too. Simple. Or shallow end. Shallow end. I'm not going to go deeper. I'm just going to live in the shallow end. I'm going to say, if it feels good, I'm going to do more of it. If it feels bad, I'm going to stop doing it. That's the shallow end. And sometimes we just live there because it's safer there. It's more simple. It's straightforward. It's easier to navigate. Feels good, do it. Feels bad, don't do it. Simple. Okay? You're being told to go much deeper than that. Go deeper than that, to where you will find and attract healthy relationships, where you will embrace joy and creativity, not just surface level stuff and not shallow end stuff, deep, a deep place, right? Where we have to look at those emotional wounds, we have to look at the complexes and acknowledge them, embrace them, integrate them, but also make them understand that we're going to choose, you have like a boss now. The complexes don't just get we don't put the kids in charge of the car. We don't let the kids operate the heavy machinery. No, someone with a little bit more wisdom's got to do that, a little more skill. And so the Queen understands that all these things are inside of me, and I need to embrace them all. They're all part of my internal soul family. But they need to all be sort of under a larger umbrella, spiritual authority, right, of our own selves, capital S. And so this card does tell us to go deep. To go deep, embrace love. We're open to healthy relationships. We want abundance and joy, and we're going to radiate that. Okay. In a deep, deep soul level way. I think this card is perfect. I think it's the best confirmation. Okay. The thing that is antagonistic to the Queen of Cups, of course, is the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords is the kryptonite for this one, because the Ten of Swords is kind of this idea of there's no point in doing any of this because I can already mentally, and this is part of our princess, part of the reasoning, the intellectual blockage, there's no point in starting anything lovely, right? Because it's going to end, because everything ends. Everything eventually will be a Ten of Swords. Everything will, the Ten of Swords is a card where everything is dried up, right? The Ten of Swords is a very desiccated card. Yeah? It's a dry earth, right? So it's kind of saying, what's the bother, what's the point of loving? Why bother loving anything when that love is just going to dry up eventually anyway? Okay? So it really is that self-sabotage, and so that Ten of Swords is really antagonistic to this water energy. Yeah. It's the shadow side, right? It's the complex shadow side of the Queen of Cups, is that, that over-intellectualized kind of pessimistic, almost, the futility of love, because it's fleeting, it's temporary, it's impermanent, right? But I think the Ten of Swords is also recognizing those old wounds and healing them, okay? As much as that we might find that term or that phrase controversial, I think that in practical reality, we do need to look at that, and we need to embrace ourselves, and we need to love ourselves and have emotional transparency, radical self-acceptance, right? Radical self-acceptance understanding how we're talking to ourselves and how we're projecting our energy outwardly, what complexes are at work there, and how we might be punishing ourselves unknowingly, sabotaging ourselves. Let's be open and honest with ourselves. Okay? Radical self-acceptance in this card too. Now we're going to do an extended reading. I know this went kind of long. We're going to do an extended reading. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There's a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Scorpio usually on Wednesdays and Saturdays. This is a bonus reading. I feel like, I don't know, I felt like this energy just kind of needed to come out. I was going to start my other reading. I said, before I get started doing other things, Scorpio needs something. Yeah, and I feel like we were right to do this. So I hope that this is helping you in some small way. All right. But be sure to watch both of your other readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.